I decided, Sonia and I decided right away that we had to meet Dad's other son. Uh, See, I love my dad very much, but my dad can be kind of,
You know, my father can be a bit manipulative sometimes, and, you know, Sonia and I felt that we needed to take control of the situation right away.
You both thought you had to take control.
Yeah, Sonia and I.
This new addition to your family, you got in touch with him?
It wasn't hard to do. I mean, at first I felt kind of weird about it, but a few days earlier I had been home, and my father was on the phone with someone, to his lawyers, I guess, and he scribbled down a name and a phone number. And this was before the meeting with Jennifer, before I knew anything about it. Then a few days later I went back, and the name was still there, scribbled on the phone pad by the phone. It said Sam, 917.
646-2177. I wanted to call it right away, but I didn't have the nerve. For the next few days, it seemed like my father knew what we were up to. I mean, he couldn't possibly, but he was acting very strangely.
And I was so nervous that he'd find out. I felt a bit guilty going behind his back. I mean, if he found out that I was even speaking to Dimitri.
well, I guess my father was still pretty angry. I hadn't seen him since that night. My sister had told me what was going on. She wasn't supposed to see me, but we'd get together once a week for coffee.
My sister is very nice. You know, sometimes she's too nice for her own good. She worries about me. You know. Anyway, there's this little cafe on the same block as my father's apartment. You can actually see his apartment from the cafe. Sonia would buy me coffee and tell me about the news for that week. You know, from our table, you could look out and see my father walking around in his apartment. He never closed his blinds. He'd be pacing back and forth in his pajamas, talking on the phone, gesturing wildly. He was very demonstrative always.
I don't know why. One morning I woke up early, about 6 a.m. I hadn't been sleeping well for the past few days. I get insomnia sometimes. But I woke up early remembering a very strange dream.
I usually don't remember my dreams, only on rare occasions like this. The dream really disturbed me. In it, I was in my father's apartment building, but it was dusty and old, like no one lived there anymore. There were cobwebs everywhere. It was dusty and old, and it was freezing cold. I could see my breath. Anyway, I was there by myself, and I was walking down long halls and corridors, and I was lost, trying to find the numbers written on the doors. And they were all written in this strange language that I couldn't understand. When I heard the sound of a baby crying, I tried to find it, but the sound didn't come from any specific direction. I ran all around the place, but I couldn't find the baby and never seemed to get any nearer the sound. Suddenly, I knew where it was. Don't ask me how, but I knew it was lying in the bathtub of my father's private bathroom. And I knew that the bathwater was running. And if I didn't go help the baby, it would drown. And I heard the baby crying. And I could hear the water running, and there was nothing I could do. I ran down those dark corridors, trying to get to the sound of the baby, but the more the baby cried, the more lost I became. Until all at once the sound stopped and everything was silent and still. And I just knew that it was too late and that the baby was dead. And I remember crying, thinking, what kind of world is this where babies can die just like that? No one comes to help a crying baby. They just let it die. It was terrible. The dream was so vivid. For a second, I wasn't sure if I was awake or still dreaming.
I got up, and the apartment was very still and quiet. My father had been out with Jennifer the night before, and he wasn't up yet. He usually didn't get up till 9 or 10 anyway. I walked through the apartment, and it was dark. The blinds were closed. I went to my desk and got the phone number and went to the kitchen phone. I dialed the numbers very slowly, pushing each one very carefully. I didn't want to make a mistake.
I held the receiver to my ear and listened to it ring. From the area code, I knew that I was calling a cell phone and didn't know what to expect. It rang 4 times when I heard the beep of a voicemail system. I didn't know what to say, where to begin, so I hung up.
I was at the cafe. I got there once on time. You know, I'm never on time. I'm always late. Usually, Sonia's on her second cappuccino by the time I get there. Well, Sonia finally rushed in, and she just talked for like 20 minutes straight. She was really upset, and she looked tired. And she handed me this piece of paper with a phone number scribbled on it. Then she started telling me about this dream she had that I don't know, she was doing something. And then she stopped in the middle of it and talked about how she just had lunch with Dad's girlfriend, Jennifer. You know, she was all mixed up. She just seemed to be describing miscellaneous details without saying anything important.
Then all at once, she stopped talking, and she turned to look out the window at my dad's apartment. It was a sunny day, and there was a glare on the window, so you couldn't see anything. And, I mean, for all we knew, he could have been watching us. Yeah. Then she turned back around and looked me in the eye for a full minute and said that
I'd better call him. But she wouldn't know what to say. I asked her if she meant it was Dad I should call, but she shook her head and she said, "No, I just found out we have a brother."